living in the condo life in the T-Dot for a hospital visit for our son. And the condo life...
Condo people, I feel for you. I really do.
The condo was tiny. I don't know if we could COVID in the condo. And we were like, no. As soon as we got in, we're like, it would be imagine COVIDing here.
It would be like Survivor. I'm pretty sure 50, one by one.
50 floors. There's 50 floors of people. And it's like, and then it just simple things like the blinds, because it's ceiling to floor windows. So it's never dark.
Ever.
Like our bedroom.
Never dark.
Our bedroom. I woke up at, I couldn't even see. Like it was 7 o'clock.
Blinding.
Oh, it was.
But you refused to close the blinds fully.
No, I did, but you still got cracks, and it's always bright.
The balcony was too small.
Good morning, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
The balcony was too small, and it was really cold actually. But in the apartment, it was hot because they had shut off the air conditioners.
We don't want to come on here and complain. We're really grateful.
Oh, we're super grateful.
Our son got to have probably what could be $100,000 surgery that we didn't have to pay for. We don't even have to. We don't have insurance. It's just Canada, and so he gets that surgery, and all we had to pay for was our accommodations in Toronto
and food.
Yeah, well, most people don't eat like we do, so most people could have gotten by.
The good thing is that our accommodations were more money than our food.
Yeah.
And then he had staples from here all the way around, and so he's feeling great, except his back and his neck is stiff.
No, his back is very sore.
He's very sore. Like they beat him down when he fell off the table or something. Like what happened? What did they do to you?
His brain's fine, thank goodness.
Toronto is interesting. We had our scooter, so we were scootering to all over the place, which was really interesting. And Toronto is like how we have Bank Street.
I don't know.
Toronto is 100 Bank Streets. It was really interesting.
I don't really. So what did you pick up? Why did you pick that up?
Well, I think we should all be aware of what this is.
Been in the news. This has been in the news as a serious problem.
The overdose rate of overdose rate since COVID is the coroner saying
astronomical.
40 to 50% increase in opiate deaths, and we've had some close to us. And so this is just a little kit called
Naloxone.
Naloxone. And it is a reviver of it's kind of like an EpiPen for opiates, and so you could actually bring somebody back from an overdose from death and give them another chance at recovery.
Yes.
And so I don't know what your opinions on these, but they're free at Shoppers Drug Mart. They just get your ID, and then you can carry one in your car. You can carry one. We should probably have one at home. Or in the car or whatever. And if the overdose rate, I'm having trouble speaking.
That's okay.
The overdose rates are skyrocketing. You might come across somebody that is dying. And so I don't know what your thoughts are on these. I know that some people.
I think that you can have opinions, but most of us don't have an informed opinion on this issue. And that the fact of the matter is, if you're spending time downtown, if you have children, adult children or grown children, if you have, really anybody in your sphere who potentially could, people just don't really know what to expect. The people who die from overdose oftentimes are the people around them are shocked. Mm-hmm. that could possibly happen to that loved one. And so I just think most of us don't have enough information to really have an informed opinion.
And I've met lots of parents with kids that have lost, 17, 18-year-old kids
exactly.
in garages.
Morgan says common sense. And I just think
and they are free. They are free. Pick it up
Shoppers.
at Shoppers. I picked up 2, so I want to have one in my car and maybe one in each car or whatever.
Yeah,
But even as a community, we should have them. We should have them around. We should have them at the rehab center. We should have them. And
I was even thinking, we have neighbors that party, maybe is the right word. And so I just thought, wouldn't it be good even just for our neighbors to know that, most of our neighbors know that John ran a rehab. Most of our neighbors know his past. And so I thought maybe it would be good for even our neighbors to know, hey, we're a house that has this kit. Mm-hmm. And
I think it's good. Even if you imagine reviving somebody from an overdose, and even you could even have a conversation after, or the next day, or the next week, or whatever. It brings you into their life.
If you've never experienced the feeling of someone potentially overdosing in your lap, I don't know that we could imagine the feeling of reviving someone. But I think that it's important.
You've had that experience.
I have had that experience. I have held your head in my hands,
wondering if you should call 911.
If I should call 911 because your eyes were rolling back in your head and you were foaming at the mouth, and I thought, this is potentially it. Like this is potentially the end, and I was terrified. And then you started talking and got all perked up. The stuff that you do is a little different than fentanyl, but
I believe
the stuff you did.
Morgan, that they're free at every.
I believe so.
Shoppers Drug Mart, like the government is giving them out. They just need your ID and whatnot to. They keep track of them. So I would love for everybody to pick one up, and if you need it, you need it. If you don't, then go somewhere that you might need it.
There was a family on the news last night, talking about their 21-year-old daughter who was in recovery and then relapsed, and
if more people had this, it gives people another chance.
Not that it was up to the family to save their daughter, but
the other thing, because we didn't do morning devos for a week.
We did not.
Why I was thinking that, because I only have so much capacity, and we were focused on one thing, and so it's hard to get in the rhythm of here, and so we just took the week off not to do that, and
I did.
Now Monday we're back. I did my own stuff.
I did devos. You did devos. Most mornings when we woke up, almost every morning actually, when we woke up, we turned on worship music. We
listened to a lot of worship music.
We often would have that on in the room. But I do, I think it was nice. I enjoy doing this. I really do. I enjoy doing this with you. I'm not sure that I would do it with just anybody. But I do enjoy doing it with you.
The Amazon guy. Yeah. Hey, Amazon guy, come here. We're doing a. All right, let's. It was nice to have a week off. Let's get into it. It's already. It's November.
Hey, look. Yvonne posted a link of where you can get a free Naloxone kit.
Very cool.
Thank you, Yvonne.
And I picked up 2. I felt weird. It felt odd when I said, "Can I get 2 of them?" I think it's important though.
Like we do drive through downtown.
Do you want me to do like a little unboxing? It's a little bit stressful. But we do prayer drives through downtown. This is the actual the antidote, like the snake oil, not the snake oil, the anti-venom, anti-venom. And so you can actually break those off and actually put it in their nostril. And then you can do it the old-fashioned way with needles. And I don't know how steady your hand is going to be in that kind of situation, but putting the antidote in the needle and then stabbing them with it. So there's little instructions as well, and face masks and hand gloves. There's little hand gloves.
So that's really important, actually, because
and a little swab.
You want to have a face mask on and you want to have gloves on, because you can't get
there could be some the
fentanyl on you either.
Yeah, you
that's
just gotta
really
be careful.
important.
So
hi, Megan.
There's awesome instructions there.
Good to see you again.
So we should all get one and at least be armed and dangerous for somebody else to come back from the dead and give them a second chance. All right, we are going to get in our morning devotionals. This one is called November the 16th.
I know, it's half over.
I feel like there's this impending snowstorm coming.
It is coming.
It is coming.
And
this one is what, November 16th?
And that means that...
I don't know what it means.
It means that November's half over.
November is more than half over.
I know.
Unless there's 31 days. Is there 31? I never get that right.
30, I think.
There's a little thing that goes like this. 30.
Don't do it.
I think November's 30. And this one says the victim trap.
Are you reading it?
I want you to read it because it's the 16th. It's your turn. You're the even and I'm the odd. November the 16th, the victim trap.
Megan grew up in Surrey, Vancouver, Surrey, and watched. So she also thinks that more people should have these kits. Thank you, Megan. I agree. The belief that life has to be hard and difficult is the belief that makes a martyr. We can change our negative beliefs about life and whether we have the power to stop our pain and take care of ourselves. We aren't helpless. We can solve our problems. We do have power, not to change or control others, but to solve the problems that are ours to solve, using each problem that comes our way to prove that life is hard and we are helpless. This is codependency. It is the victim trap. Life does not have to be difficult. In fact, it can be smooth. Life is good. We don't have to awfulize it or ourselves. We don't have to live on the underside. We do have power, more power than we know, even in the difficult times. And the difficult times don't prove that life is bad. They are part of the ups and downs of life. And often they work out for the best. We can change our attitude. We can change ourselves. Sometimes we can change our circumstances. Life is challenging. Sometimes there's more pain than we asked for. Sometimes there's more joy than we imagined. It's all part of the package, and the package is good. We are not victims of life. We can learn to remove ourselves as victims of life. By letting go of our belief that life has to be hard and difficult, we make our life much easier. Today, God, help me let go of my belief that life is so hard, so awful, or so difficult. Help me replace that belief with a healthier, more realistic view.
I like how you say, so hard.
So hard. Why do these things always happen to me?
This one is a very amusing one for me because this is a lot of our headbutting in our relationships. I know something's happening.
Your phone.
Oh.
So I am in a workshop, and the number one thing that made the most impact on me for my workshop on Saturday was there's like readings that we're doing every day that we're supposed to read every day to kind of like refocus us on like what's important and how do I live like an emotionally sober life. And that's basically the gist of my workshop, is like living an emotionally sober life. And it talks about divorcing ourselves from self-pity. And she was explaining.
And self-pity is inward resentment.
No, that's not what I was going to say, but that's a good explanation. That is a very good explanation. Self-pity is
being divorced from
self-pity. Self-pity is when we, yes, I'm not saying you're wrong. Sorry. Self-pity is taking things personally. I just wrote it out. Taking things personally. And so when I walk through the world that everything is happening to me, that it's all about me, that's self-pity. I take everything personally. When you are doing whatever and I make it about me, that you did that to me.
We don't even have to think far back.
We don't. We can think about it this morning. That's self-pity. And I thought that was it was really helpful because the reading.
So what is it again? What was your definition? Taking things personally.
Taking things personally, which I can think of.
I didn't mean to define it I didn't know you were trying to define it. I thought you were going to keep walking through that one.
So, and I've heard your definition, like it's inward resentment, and which I'm like, okay. I know that I shouldn't hold on to resentment, but there's something about like, okay.
No, you just brought that to
life.
Our
friend was talking about, like we were joking about the persecution. And
I don't even know if it came out yesterday.
Don't go into more detail. Right. So I just realized, I was like, oh, that is self-pity. Like when I think that
you didn't finish the sentence.
I'm not going to. Just leave it. When I think that I'm being persecuted by you, when I think that my child is persecuting me because they don't listen to me and they're so unruly, and why are they so hard to why can't they just behave? If my child can't behave at the park and I make it about me,
that's self-pity.
That's self-pity.
That's not persecution.
It's not persecution.
Self-pity.
Self-pity.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So
I feel that actually.
And then how do we get out of the trap? Was there?
It said that. Well, I think by not awfulizing life.
Awfulizing. You remember that word. I use that word all the time because working in a rehab center, guys, I remember one guy, he comes in from out of jail. It's snowing, like big fat snowflakes. He barely has any clothes. And he comes in, we have lunch, and then it's the walk time. And then he goes on this walk. It's snowing. And he's like, we gotta go for a walk. This is the coolest thing ever. Praise God that I'm here. And he's like going for the walk. He comes back. He's dripping wet. He has one change of clothes. He puts them in the dryer. He's wearing somebody's boxers. He's like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. 2 weeks later, I hate the freaking walk. Why are you making me do a walk? This is the dumbest thing. Like, I'm an adult. I don't need, and I'm like, you're awfulizing recovery. And we do this all the time. You're awfulizing being sober because our mind just wants to go back to using. Like, if I could only take a break right now, because I'm a victim.
What would be a positive? So is self-pity always bad? And I was just wondering, someone's asking for a friend.
Self-pity always bad. I believe that self-pity is always bad because you're internalizing it and being a victim.
But don't you think that there's many things that are bad, negative, unhealthy, not useful to me? Like, this is a character trait. Self-pity is a character trait that I possess that isn't useful to my life. What would be, I believe that oftentimes those traits that are unhealthy or not serving me well are like sometimes positive traits that have been twisted and misaligned. So what would be like, if I'm in a healthy state?
Is assertive speaking, so I can go the way that this conversation is going is causing me to feel this. I think the thing is that self-pity is fine for normal people. I have come to the realization that I am not a normal person, and that is my mental obsession. So
I'm not a normal person either.
Normal people can afford to be resentful, to be self-pity, to be a victim,
to have a bad day,
and they don't go smoke crack or cut themselves or go overeat or go look at porn or go smoke some crack cocaine. I can't afford it. And so I don't have the luxury to be filled with self-pity.
I had a day
for very long. Like, I have to catch it and go like I
had a day last week.
Hot potato it.
I had a day last week. I don't get to hot potato things. John hot potatoes them for me. Here, he takes the hot potato. He takes my hot potato and he throws it right at me in my face. Here's your hot potato. So I had a day last week that I think was a day of self-pity. I think that I awfulized. I think that I took...
I'm glad you can talk about it now. That's so mature.
Can you just shush? No one wants to be hit in the face by their own hot potato. So I thought there was like a list of things that you were doing that were so offensive and hurtful to me. But I was keeping a list like all day. And I was trying not to. I knew what I was doing. Like, I knew what I was doing, and I knew that it wasn't good for me. I knew that it wasn't good for us, that it wasn't good for our tiny condo. And yet I couldn't not do it. And so I took it to prayer, I took it to meditation, but I still kept my list. I still had my list because I felt very justified in each of those things. Like, they were still really accurate examples. Here's what I not woke up to, but I became aware that if none of those things happened, if those circumstances, those things that you had done to me hadn't happened, I would be obsessing on something else. Mm-hmm. I would be fixated on something else because the problem doesn't lie outside of me. The problem lies inside of me.
And if you take it to me, I would go drink because of something else you said. And so resentment is refeeling over and over, which is the number one reason that an alcoholic goes to drink. And so inward resentment is the other side of that, is refeeling over and over within myself, I am the victim.
So an alcoholic goes to drink, but I just go to self-pity. And I just spin round and round in my head.
Like, to get your adrenaline up.
I spin out so bad. I obsess. I refeel. I rethink, I replay conversations. I know exactly what you said. And when you say, like, I don't remember saying that, that just throws me right out.
But even resentment, my part as well that I have to see is that my perception is usually off.
Right. My big awakening, my big awareness that night. And I mean, we can still talk about sometimes the way that you do things and how of course you could be more effective, but I could be more effective also. We could all be more effective in many ways in our life. I love the fact that actually I don't have to have 3 days of that, because after one day you're like, okay, what's going on? So
do you know what's going on? Yeah, that's awesome. All right.
What is the definition of self-pity? We thought that self-pity, what I was explained to in my workshop on Saturday, was
taking everything personally.
So the world happens to me.
And then the bigger picture of inward resentment.
Yeah.
Refilling over and over within
the reality is that in this life, bad things happen.
Like, there will be trouble.
There is trouble in this world. This world is full of trouble. And when something happens and I'm around it, if I'm full of self-pity, anything that happens within my vicinity is happening to me.
So then when I say that I can't afford this luxury of self-pity or resentment, it's basically what I am saying, that if I have these things, then I don't have the capacity of God being in there. These are things that I put on my shelf, and the things that were on there of what God brings into me, peace, love, joy, all of those, I push them out of the way, and then I'm left with myself. And left to myself and my own devices, I will go and at some point drink or do drugs.
So the reality.
So that's why I can't afford it, because I need to be living my life out of God.
So the reality is, for me, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if it just doesn't matter. Like, I need to just not, unless I'm unsafe. If my circumstances were different and I was living with, let's say I'm not being critical of how you talk, but let's say I'm actually living with a partner who is abusive. Very different thing. But for me, I think that the distinction is that I will create all these little scenarios. And so it's just really up to me to recognize that no matter what, I am going to create a list. I'm looking for things to feel sorry for myself for. And that's
so that I can
the headspace to get myself, so that I can.
And not even knowing that we're doing
and
that.
For you, it's substances.
But that's
for
the
me,
part
it's
of leaving God's path. Like, he doesn't leave us, we leave him. And so we do that through self-pity. We do that through resentment. We do that through fears.
We leave God.
We block ourselves from God. And then we're driving this way blindly into every situation and people around us, and they get offended. And
we block ourselves, I think, from the good in the world. We block ourselves off from the good that
no clue where our timeline
God has for us.
I forgot about we are going to leave. And I thought that
it
the
was
messages.
Funday Monday.
Oh, are we doing Funday Monday? I forgot about that.
Isn't it Funday Monday?
It's Funday Monday. Anybody that has engaged in our posts through
let's
COVID,
be really honest.
We are going
we haven't added any names
we didn't
in the last
put
2 weeks.
But we will pick a name, and then you can just private message us, and you will get a t-shirt, hat, or a 6-pack of kombucha if you live in the Ottawa region.
The t-shirt and the hat we can order online and have shipped to you no matter where you live.
Don't be a victim no more.
Genevieve Beilemare.
Awesome.
Genevieve Beilemare, you are the winner of a Ashes to Ruby's t-shirt, hat.
Look at our shop. Link
or
below.
If you live in the Ottawa area, then you can get a 6-pack of kombucha or a hat or two.
Yeah, and I'll order it for you, and I'll get it shipped right to your house.
Do we have slouchy toques?
You'll have to look on the website.
We have super cute slouchy toques.
You'll have to look on the website. We're going to leave now. What I've walked away from this is being a victim brings me closer to drinking and away from people and away from God. And self-pity is, what did you say? Self-pity was
taking everything personally.
That's big. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's all I'm going. That's what I need today. All right. Thank you so much.
Don't take everything
Have a great afternoon. Hockey sticks in hands. 6 feet apart. Wash those hands. Peace and love.